Welcome back super coders to my YouTube channel. Let's do coding. My name is Chetna and let's continue with this free Python tutorial series for absolute beginners with lots of practical exercises. In our last video we have already learned how to install Python on your systems and how to write and run Python code on Jupyter Notebook. And in this video we will start with Python objects and data structures and understand briefly about Python data types that are used for programming. Before starting this video, I hope you already have downloaded Python with the individual edition of Anaconda distribution on your systems. If not, just watch my last video about Python installation so that you can start practicing today. And for downloading Python, you can click on this link. If you are new and watching my video for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button to receive more learning videos on Python with plenty of exercises. Okay, let's go ahead and learn what is a data type. In any programming language, data type is a very basic and important concept to learn. This is because when you work on a project, it's very important to understand what kind of data you are dealing with so that you can process that data according to the format without facing any errors or bugs in your program. Data type just represents the nature and the type of data. Every value in Python has its own data type. For an example, here in the first picture the value of 2 is assigned to x and in second picture again 2 is assigned to y. You must be thinking that both the values are same, but let me tell you that they both are totally different from each other because the nature of data type of both are different. X is equal to 2 is of integer type and y is equal to 2 is of string type. No need to get confused. Let me explain you what I mean to say with an example in Jupyter Notebook. Let's open our Jupyter Notebook. For that, I will type Anaconda Navigator here on the search bar and I will click on this. Now from here I am going to launch Jupyter Notebook, which will redirect me in my browser. And from here I will select my folder and create a new notebook of data types. For that I will go on the top right side of my screen and click on new and then select notebook Python 3. Okay, here I have opened my Jupyter Notebook working page. Okay, let's quickly create a heading of the today's topic, Python basic data types. If I write a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3, let's add a and b and now I will run this code. On adding a and b, I will get 5 as a result, which is absolutely correct, right? Now let's see one more case. C is equal to 2 in double quotes and D is equal to 3 in double quotes. Now let's again add C and D. Now again I will run this cell. Now let's run this cell. On running this cell, we can get the output as 2, 3 or 23, which was not expected. So you must be thinking why the results are different in both cases. Let me explain you what exactly happened in this code. For that, let's check the data types of A, B, C, D. Here we will use type function to find the data type of A. Simply write down type all in lowercase. Then we have open and close parentheses. Now let's pass the variable A through this type function. In the next video we will learn more about variables. Now let's run this cell. As a result, you will get back the Python built-in keyword. Keywords are just a reserved word created in Python, and here the data type of variable A is int, that is integer, because 2 was a numeric number. Similarly, if we check for B, here 3 is also a numeric number, so it also belongs to integer class. And now let's check the data type of C. On passing C, now we can see that result belongs to string class str because we have used double quotes around this numeric 2. So now this will be considered as text 2. So 2 is a string literal. Similarly here 3 is also a string literal because 3 is also surrounded by double quotes. I am using this hash sign here for commenting. You can note down your main points while coding with this hash sign. It will not run with the code. So in first case, the nature of type of A and B was of integer type. That's why calculation was done. Whereas in second case, C and D was of string type. So only the text of 2 and 3 was displayed after concatenation.
Keep in mind, calculations can be done only with integers or floating numbers, not with text. So here using integer type makes more sense while doing calculations. So always choose relevant data type according to your program.
This was a very basic example of understanding why data types are so important in any programming language. Hope you have clearly understood this. Moving ahead, basically there are two forms of data types in Python. First is primitive data type, or you can say predefined data types, which means the type or nature of the data is already defined, such as integer, string, floating point and boolean numbers. And the second is non-primitive data type or object data types. These are the data types which can hold all the predefined data types like integer, string or float or boolean in different ways. Some of the object data types are lists, dictionaries, sets and tuples. Let's learn about them in detail and explore all the possible data types used in Python programming. So the data types we are going to discuss are the following as shown in this table. Name of the data type is mentioned on the left hand column, and in the second column we have the type of this data type, which means Python has an internal short keyword for this name like int for integer, str for string and so on. Then we had the description column, which describes that what the actual description of the data type is. Let's start with integer. Integers are just the basic whole numbers like 1, 10, 100, 200. Integers can be positive like 230 or negative like minus 500, or even they can be 0. There is no limit to how long an integer value can be. Integer values are represented by int class. Let me show you with an example. Let's go back to our Jupyter notebook page. Let's say x is equal to 1000, y is equal to 0 and z is equal to minus 200. Now let's check their data types. So for that I will again use type function. Let's write type type and open and close parentheses. Now let's pass the variable x through it. Now let's run this code. So x belongs to int class, which is integer class, because 1000 is a whole number. Now let's change the variable from x to y and again check the data type for y. Now let's again run this code. Y also belongs to int class. Now let's change y to z. Again I will run this code and we will again get a int class as its type. So all these belongs to integer class represented by its short keyword int. Then we had floating point number, which are just a number with decimal points such as minus 2.1, 4.0 and 100.5. Point numbers and integers both can be positive as well as negative. Floating point numbers has a short keyword type float. Now let's explore some examples of floating point number. Again moving back to our notebook, let's say p is equal to 0.0, q is equal to minus 23.5 and r is equal to 200.0. Again we will check their data types by giving a type statement, then open and close round brackets. Now I will pass variable p through this. Now I will run this cell and see the type of p is float. Now let's change the variable from p to q and check the data type of q. Again I will run this cell. So q is also float type. Now I will change q to r. I will run this code. Again I will get float as its data type. So they all belong to float class. Here in variable r you can notice that if the number is 200.0 or 0.200, it will be counted as floating point number, because that 200.0 is no longer an integer because it has a decimal point. So any number with a decimal point is known as floating point number. Okay, then after floating point number we have strings. Strings are the ordered sequence of characters or a textual word. Strings can be in form of a word, a number, a sentence, and they can also use symbols. Strings are denoted by double quotes or single quote. Here you can see some examples of string types. Let me show you some more examples in Jupyter Notebook.
m is equal to double quotes. I can also use single quotes here. Now I can type anything inside this quote, which can be a small ABC, capital ABC, numeric 1, 2, 3 or any symbol also. Anything written inside this quotes will always refer to a string. Now let's say n is equal to double quote and I will pass a numeric value through it. Keep in mind, this digit 200 inside this quotes no longer an integer type because it has double quotes around it, referred as string. Now let's check the data type for m and n using type function. Let's write type, open and close parentheses. Now let's first pass m and run this code. It will display str, means type of m is a string. Now let's check for n. Let's replace m with n. Now let's run this one more time. So data type of n also belongs to str class. Just keep in mind, if something is written between the single quotes or double quotes, it is always a string. I hope till now everything is clear to you. Next after this we have booleans, which are just the logical values indicating true or false. By logical values I mean to say just like yes or no we use in English. And Python is a case sensitive language, so here we always denote booleans with the syntax as capital T for true and false with capital F, and it is represented as bool type. Let me show you example in the Jupyter notebook. If I say summer is hot, so obviously summers are hot, so you can say yes, summers are hot. So in Python I will say true. And in next case, let's say summer is cold, that is wrong. So I will assign false to it because it's not true. Now let's check their data types. Type, open and close parentheses, summer is hot. Now let's run this code. So it belongs to boolean class, that is BOOL, bool. Again if I check for summer is cold, let me replace summer is hot with summer is cold. Summer is cold. Now let's run this. This also belongs to boolean class. Okay, great. Then we come to data structures. They are also a kind of data type but in complex form. Data structures are little more specialized form of data types. It is a way of organizing different data types in some sort of sequence or mapping. Let me explain you about data structure with the help of this picture. Till now we have learned about the simple basic data types. Data structures are the structure form of data type which can hold not only one data type but also different data types. That can be string type, integer type, floating type or even boolean type. Most commonly integer, float and strings are used. Data structures can also be known as non-primitive or object data type, which includes list, dictionary, tuples and sets. So here on the top we have list. List holds different types of objects or data types in an ordered sequence. It is always denoted with square brackets and has comma to separate the different data types, which is an integer, the string hello, then we have floating point number 200.6. So here we can see that list can hold all three different data types in a sequence inside these square brackets. Let's explore some more example of lists. Let's go back to our notebook. I will write number list equal to square brackets because square brackets are used for list. And inside this I will pass different values like -1, -2, -3, -4.0. So here 0, -1, 2 and 3 are integers and 4.0 is the float type. Now let's make one more color list here containing different colors. Color list is equal to open and close square brackets consisting of red in double quotes,
blue in double quotes and green in single quotes.
Because in string we can use both double or single quotes. One thing here you can notice that all the integer and float values in Python are highlighted with green color and all the string elements are highlighted with red color. Now let's find out the type of these lists by writing type, open and close brackets and then pass the number list. Now run this code. it will show list here as its data type. Similarly, let's check for color list. Let's change number list with color list. Now again let's run this code. So it also belongs to list type because these elements are inside this square bracket. So list can hold different data types. Next to list we have dictionaries in Python. Dictionaries are the data structure that can also store other data types like integer, string, floating point numbers. But it is different from list because it does not store these values in any sequence. Actually it stores the values in form of mapping. Dictionaries are in the form of unordered key value pairs. Here we can see that dictionaries have a key, then colon and then a value, and it has curly brackets around it. Next we have name, then column, and the value of that name is Chetna. List is denoted with square brackets and dictionaries are denoted with curly brackets. And it has a short keyword name in Python, that is DICT, dict. Let's go back to Jupyter Notebook page. Let's take an example of alphabet. To assign some value to any specific key, let's write alphabets is equal to open and close curly brackets because we want to create a dictionary here. Now let's pass our first key, that is A. We can write A here in single or double quotes. Now a colon to assign corresponding value to A. I want to assign apple for A. Again in single or double quotes I can write apple. Now I will put a comma here to assign a new key value pair. Now I will write B inside double quotes and then colon. Now again in double quotes ball. Again I will put a comma here to assign a new key value pair. Now I am going to use quote C and then colon, and I am going to assign cat for C. So I will write cat in single quotes. So my dictionary of alphabet is created here. Now let's check the data type for alphabet variable. Let's write type open and close parenthesis and pass alphabets. Now let's run this code. So it is referring to class dictionary, DICT. After dictionaries we have tuples. Tuples are also like lists because list uses square brackets whereas tuples are denoted by round bracket. And tuples are immutable, means you cannot change some object or value that is present in the sequence. And tuple is also represented as tuple in Python. As I already told you that tuples are same like list. So let's go and watch the list example. I am making the same number list and color list. So let's make a number tuple here. Instead of square bracket I will use round brackets. Inside these round brackets I will pass different values like 0, -1, 2, 3, 4.0. Here 0, -1, 2, 3 are again integers and 4.0 is the floating point number. In the similar way let's make a color list. Let's write color tuple is equal to round brackets, open and close round brackets consisting of red in double quotes, blue color in green in double single quotes. On running this cell it will also display the same result as list, but its class will be different. Now its class is tuple because it has round brackets around it. Further in upcoming videos you will understand the difference between tuple and list. And finally we have sets. Sets are the unordered collection of unique objects. It's a little bit similar to dictionaries because it also has curly brackets around it, but they don't have any key value pair. Let me show you with an example. If I make a set of collection of different used transports, let's say transport is equal to open and close curly brackets, because set is also denoted by curly brackets like dictionaries, but we will arrange them in a sequence form, not in a key value pair. Like car in code. To assign next transport mode I will use comma here, then bus, and then bus double quote, comma double quotes train. Now let's check the data type for transport variable. For that again I will type open and close parenthesis, then I will pass transport variable through this type function. Now let's run this code. So it belongs to a set type. In Python there is one more variable that is known as none type. It means you have a variable but its value is not assigned. In other languages you can see this keyword as null. but in Python we use none. For example, a is equal to none means no value is assigned to a. If I check its type, it will display that its class is none type. So these were some of the main basic data structures and data types used in Python programming. Now let's quickly revise all these data types one more time so that you can become more familiar with these data types while coding. So here you can see some values are assigned to x. Let's check what kind of data type they have. But here the value of x is 200.0. We can clearly see this decimal point here. So it belongs to float type. It's a floating point number. Next we can see this text and symbol inside the double quotes. So this will refer to a string. Here for x curly braces are used, but it is not a dictionary because this is in the form of sequence holding different data type like string and float. So we can say this is a set because set is denoted by curly brace. Next to this, here we can see the round bracket which clearly defines that it is a tuple which is holding different data types in a sequence. After this, here we can see the square bracket which clearly means that it belongs to list type. And list can also hold a variety of data types. And at the last here curly brackets are present, but a key value pair is also present. Here name colon Anaya is one key value pair and age colon 3 is another key value pair. So this belongs to a dictionary class. And now this is time for quiz. These are some questions I have designed for you to understand these concepts more deeply. Please go through these questions and solve them. You can comment below with your answers. I would love to see your efforts toward practicing code and learning Python. To see the solution of this quiz, I have created a separate Facebook page for group studies so that you can learn and grow together. Here you can discuss and help each other if you have any doubts. Link is mentioned in the description box and you can go to my Facebook page and check all the answers there. That's all I had for this video. I hope I was able to explain you briefly about Python data types. Please don't worry if you don't understand any of this. You don't need to memorize because this was just for basic understanding. We will learn a lot more in detail about all of these topics and I will show you how to use them to write your own codes. If you like this content, please support my work by giving a thumbs up and make sure you also hit the subscribe button to receive all the important learning videos of Python. Thank you so much for watching this video. In the next video, we will learn about Python variables in detail. Till then, take care, bye bye and keep practicing.